Incremental greetings. Today will be special. I realized that there is a video that I started editing and I never published. I use DaVinci Resolve to edit my videos. Those are the videos that I edit more recently. Those two I never published are from November. But look at this. Meta recap. It's a pity now I don't even have the file. It was like half an hour. But I do remember what it was. So I reacted to videos on this playlist. Learn from my newbie mistakes with Supermemo. Sadly, those videos haven't had much views. And I think they were actually helpful in avoiding what to do as a noob. So I decided, hey, let's do a recap of this much later, when I considered that I mastered Supermemo. So now what I'm going to do, since I cannot edit that video because the raw file has been lost, imagine it's been so long, I will react to myself, reacting to my noob self. So I could say that now that I have read all of the documentation of Supermemo, let's say that I achieved mastery with Supermemo. Not incremental reading, necessarily. Supermemo as a software. The hard skills. Now I could say I'm a master. And I could see my fluent self, the one in the video, that I'm reacting to my newbie self. So it's me reacting to myself. And I will just go with the playlist. There are 18 videos. Now I see is in the opposite order. It starts with the last one. Well, I will go manually. Okay. So I needed to change my positioning. It's not the best because of the microphone. Will be best at the opposite side. But well. Now you will see my face more than once. How I even age it across the videos. So that's the first video. This is me reacting with the session I did with Rush, which was not my first day. I already used Supermemo 15 some months ago by myself, and he offered to do the session, so why not? And then I also proposed to record it, to share it online. So that is day one of the collection that I have today. I don't keep anything older than that, because it was just to understand Supermemo. There was no meaningful usage of the collection. Yeah, that's a good point. My past self made is that I no longer use this terminology. So it's funny that Rush more or less avoided a lot of terminology that is only on the niche of Supermemo. New flashcard instead of item and stuff like this. Item is active recall. Yes, but not necessarily. Because you create the close deletion. You make the close deletion, therefore you create the item. But then you can edit the item, so it's just passive. If you use Supermemo for language learning, you can have a sentence with a highlighted word, let's say, and you just have to passively remember the meaning of that word. You're not recalling the word, unlike the Advanced English collection. So, most of the time. And Alt-N to create a new topic or new note. And I never use that. And Alt-A as well. I actually never use this. Unless I do something quick because I'm recording a video, but for my genuine usage, I never use those shortcuts. Yeah, precisely. Another video I shared recently about the splitting. So in this case, it's incremental learning. And what will happen is that it's very likely you will import this article at the very beginning of your Supermemo experience. And what Rush suggested is to split, but you don't split just for the first header or section, but all of them. So here you can see, for instance, 2.3.1.1.2, you will flatten all of this hierarchy, and you create like 700 or almost 500 children, which is not the best experience. Yeah, you can see here. Some will be dummy because it's one header after another, but look at the scroll bar, and how many children. So imagine how messy now the intervals and the priorities are. is, yeah, if it's at the very beginning, I will split it, but only for the general chapters. So what is incremental learning? POM, incremental reading, and so on. So only by the header one, or whatever header is using. So it's more manageable. And ironically, what is my past self said still true today. I haven't used spread anymore. And by the way, I still have the book of the Daily Stoic. And guess what? I haven't finished it yet. It's been longer than a year. And I will go extra mile, and I would say that not even 2024 I will finish it. Oh yeah, good point, previous self. So basically, it's what now I call is multi-level extracting. That I always say that I am a heavy extractor. That's way too much. And yes, in this case, I will not split, even if it was header 1, header 3, or whatever tag that is consistent, and I can use the custom split for that. I will still do it manually. So with the extract, and then the next repetition, I will extract, let's say, incremental learning easier, ensures 95% recall, blah, blah, blah. Next repetition, incremental reading ensures head recall, blah, blah, blah. More or less, more manual. Yeah, okay. So I don't do the, this has changed across time. So now let's say that my threshold is a lot less than before. So now what I use is even the built-in Ctrl-Shift arrow up or down to increase or decrease the priority by just a tiny bit. So this don't even require auto hotkey to have your own heuristic ranges of priorities. So now let's say this article is 33%. I think it's kind of blurry in the screen. And I think instead of 33, that is 30, I will change it. It's 3%. This is massive. But in this case, the collection was still tiny. So the 33% means 138 position. So now my collection is larger. So 33% will mean 10,000 and something. So even though the conclusion is that now I do care about decimals. At the very least, the first one for this range. If it's in the high range, the red, I will even specify more. So for instance, 0.11 or 0.19, hey, that makes a difference. Too much difference in this very high level. And I do always work in this level of priorities because I always keep several topics in this very high priority range. The first 10 elements in my collection because I want them to show up every single day in my repetitions. Oh, good point. So here, still my past self was struggling with the extremely fossilized Keybindings in Spanish. Now there's no issue. Now English, it has been the default for many years. Now it will be the opposite. Now I have to think twice, process, wait. Shift is, it's my use in my computer. I don't know if you can see it. Tab, block my use, and control. So now it's the opposite case. So good to know that this is just, it takes some time, but you eventually automate this as well. All of my flashcards now, they have Control Shift and whatever. I use English only. And here, so here's one example that by default, I have English. And then the equivalent in the Spanish QWERTY layout, it will be this character, the minus, not the open square bracket. So this already tells a lot now that I have to specify, Spanish, activate Spanish flag, don't go to the automatic English. Yeah, same as now. I logged my sleep for a while, for some months. Then I see that it's always the same pattern repeating or different patterns, and that's it. So I was not getting any new information. So I stopped, and up to today, I have continued, and I'm pretty sure I will never do, unless I have some sleep issues in the future. By the way, I'm kind of surprised it took me so long until the end of the video. Look at my previous selves. I'm still using the same headphones. Oh my god! At the very least 4 years of those headphones. So ironic. And the same glasses, by the way. Which back in the day, in 2020, they were kind of recent, those glasses. So well, the point I just made still is true. And this even gets stronger because of the course of knowledge. Now that I'm even more than my previous self. My fluent self. Now I see that if today I will learn this what I did in the video, which was about 2 hour long session, I will do it in 10 minutes. It's so simple. But now it's because it has been like automated. It's been ingrained. I don't have to think this and that. So I think that become even stronger than before. That took me 40 hours overall to understand the basics and the flow and so on. Oh my god, now I have a really hard time. So back then, my fluent self had a hard time believing my newbie self. But now, that's even greater. I still have a greater time believing myself. But now even my fluent self, I perceive it as a noob. That bro, you're still slow. It takes you a lot of time to realize all of those things and to acquire the skills. It's not that I'm dismissing myself. Is that you have to create your concept maps and so on. So this takes a while. There's no other way. Incremental is the way. Incrementally built there. But when you look in retrospective, it doesn't feel like much. And at the end of the day, incremental reading is not that much. It's not about what you learn. It's what you have to unlearn. All of the misconceptions, mental models, and even the cognitive dissonance you have to face when you truly understand what incremental reading is. Which is not reading incrementally. It's much more than that. So that's the first video. The session with Rush. Let's see how this continues. Okay, something obvious. I will also mention something that is not that related to Supermemo, but there's a reason for that. First, it's ironic that I had like this logo that I made with my name, my full name, but I just call it Pleasurable Learning. There's no Pleasurable Learning Supermemo on the logo. Ironic, right? Which now it's Pleasurable Learning once again, because I will be including more stuff that is not Supermemo. It won't be exclusive to the topic of Supermemo anymore. And I always used my translated name, William Palas, which from now on I will use my real name, Guillem Palau, and Salva, because in Spain you inherit both surnames, your father and your mother, not just the first, like the English-speaking countries. Okay, this collection is from my fluent self, not the newbie self. So still then, I was using templates, especially cosmetic, that was not changing the amount of components or stuff like this. And I was even doing some scripting so I could generate CSS within the HTML. So here I was still not using plain text for my items, which I did, I think in 2022, and I still do it. But on top of that, I don't use any cosmetics. All of my templates are a plain color. And now, 2024, my master self, I only use one single template for items and one for topics. No color. No styling. For topics, yes, HTML so I can have the links and so on, but not for items. So I used, upon recommendation of Raj, the article parser from Xander, a user of Supermemo and a community member. But then I stopped using it because I realized that some text, and especially some images, were stripped down sometimes. And I couldn't find out what was the actual cause or the pattern. So at the end of the day, I just didn't use it because I didn't want to lose those details. And now Supermemo 19 has included this. You can use this article parser within Supermemo 19 if you want to. Bear in mind, first, this is being sent to a web page, to a third party, so keep in mind privacy. And second, it's still the same issue as today. But it's ironic that now it's a built-in feature. Of the just a few new features of Supermemo 19 had to be this. Okay, good to know, but there are not more important bugs to be fixed, in my opinion. Master how to learn. He stopped. He's no longer a Supermemo user. He moved to Obsidian. Okay, that's, well, it's not the same case, I think. Now I'm not sure because it's Master how to learn the incremental writing. Okay. Even though, now Supermemo 19, what it has a new feature. So you see here, the mode, you have HTML, YouTube, the video I'm watching from myself, and Guru. So now, when you import something from Guru, now the images work. That was so tedious, extremely tedious to do every time. You know, I read all of the entire Wikipedia, Supermemo documentation from their wikis. And every time I wanted a screenshot, especially if I had a graph, I had to go there manually and copy and paste because you get only the thumbs every time. So now this no longer applies. You can freely do it. It just needed for years this to be fixed. Oh my god. And now that it's fixed, I don't need it because I have read everything already. What a pain. Okay, so here are the stats of my fluent self. So my collection is not even a year. So I thought my fluent self was even older than I expected. I would even guess a year. Not even that. And look at the memorized items per day, 44 per day. Now I have 5. Look at the total number of elements, almost 90,000. Now I have 6,000 something. Because I don't do language learning. But look at the retention rate. Oh my god. And I only did 17,300 reps. And now in this backup, I have 169,000. Such a change. Oh, exactly 6,100 items. But the point is that I'm getting more value. So even if I have less items, the quality of the items are a lot higher. And the applicability of those items is also higher. So not because I have more items means I know more or it will be much useful, that knowledge. It's not a correlation at all. That's the example I meant. So you have the incremental learning manual and the images were not downloading. A stack at 0% with the thumb was back. Oh my god. So if you watch this in 2024 with Supermemo 19, now at least you know that before it was even more painful to go through the documentation. Yeah, this stays true. What my fluent self says almost 3 years ago stays true. I don't use tasks anymore in Supermemo. I learned how to do them. I had several task lists at the same time, but I use Notion for that now. Yeah, that's an example of a setting I never changed since last time when I recorded this video. So I haven't used this since last time I recorded that. When I recorded that, my fluent self, I haven't used this for real since then. how come I'm going to use the translation registry or the phonetic transcription registry? Never. So those settings are useless. And there are components, there's nothing you can choose from. And editing components, obviously you want to click on edit. So this become useless, those settings. Yeah, okay, here that's a difference. So with Supermemo, you don't have a spell check. There's a feature to use the spell checker of Microsoft Word, but that's not a feature I can use. And yeah, since I don't have a spell corrector, what I noticed across time that yeah, I do typos here and there. There are always typos. But the typos is not because I don't know how to spell it right, but because it goes during the sequence of the key presses. If it happens that I don't know how to spell it, and I spot, hey, that's actually a mistake, I will create a flashcard so I remember the spelling. But yeah, there are many typos in my collection. That no longer stays true. I would even say the opposite. Now, sometimes I only recall a word in English, and I have to use a translator that, oh, how do you say this in Spanish or Catalan, both my native languages? Because it's been perhaps 10 years last time I used that word. I produced that word in my brain in that language. So it makes sense that the recall takes forever. Okay, so the third day was kind of short, and the average time was 7 seconds, which is kind of high. Because at this point, I was not doing and repetitions per item and per topic. This has changed, obviously. So now I have more than 4 reps per average for every single item. And 1.6 per topics. It's not that high because I'm a heavy extractor. So therefore, most of what I extract is 1 repetition away to create the close deletion. And if I do it the second repetition, what will happen that I will apply done. So that repetition won't be counted anyways. Oh my god! I almost forgot I used to use pink color for close deletion in Anki for many, many years. Because it was a lot easier for the color contrast over black than the aqua or the blue color. Wow! Wow! It's not that I forgot. I haven't had this present in my memory for a long time. Yeah, it was pink. And if you watch my newbie self, I was wearing pink as well, the shirt. Wow! I also forgot I did this intermission in my videos at some point because I lost my job in the academia because of the COVID and so on. So then let me get some income from this if I could. And I had the Twitter, which I was never active at the end of the day. I also wanted to stream my sessions, which I did like 3 times, and that's it. And I still, even today, I still have those links in my YouTube videos because that's a setting in my channel that this is pre-appended every time. I don't write it down myself. And I have a Patreon that, yes, it's a still app. It's a still app, but I think there are only 2 people for $1 or $2. So it's not much, so I still appreciate it. And what I will do is that I will change it so the Patreon will be just for fighting education freedom, not just pleasurable learning. Because the intention now is to do the Supermemo course, so that will be more for profit, even though the profit will be close to none. Not even sure if I will even... I'm not even sure it will be enough to break even, the amount of hours I will put on the project. Yeah, it has also changed that since the very beginning, I had the knowledge tree on my left instead of my right side. where the stats are, more or less. And it has been true for my newbie self and for my fluent self, but not for the master self, the current, let's say. That, nope, no knowledge tree anymore. I use the ancestors window, and as you can see, my newbie self is not using the ancestors window at all, which makes sense. Usually this comes later. Oh my god, now I should bite my tongue because 1 minute after the later in the video, I do use the ancestors. Oh my god. But even though I haven't had the habit to take a peek in the ancestors. Cool. That's everything for the fourth video. Let's go dig into the fifth. Yeah, good point. And it's so ironic because most of the time I use Supermemo, I use Supermemo without glasses. You may ask why. Because I use the laptop and I position the laptop within my threshold. So I can still see correctly. That's not true. So now I should face like this. Let me check. It's in this distance. I don't need glasses at this distance, but I'm not that close. So in this distance, it becomes blurry. So I need the glasses. So it's funny that you may think that I always use glasses for the computer, or at least Supermemo. And reality is, it's actually the opposite. It's almost never I use Supermemo with glasses. Yeah, picture import. One of the examples that, yeah, I use this feature for the sake of learning how to use it, but I never use it in real life. I think that was just YouTube. No meaningful use of this feature at all. Wait. Oh my god. Oh my god. Tell me the odds. So recently, what I did, which I have a video pending for this, is that I do a subset of my longest intervals, so the topics that have the longest intervals. Let's see what was sent to oblivion that I will never see again, because the interval is above 1,000 days. So regardless of the priority, if it's 20 or 50 or 70, I won't see that again. And one of the topics that I invested time was cognitive inertia. And yeah, I noticed that it was imported in August 2020. And I remembered, hey, wait, this is when I started the YouTube channel, more or less. I don't know the specific date, the day, but I remember the month. And here it is. It's one of the funny things that when you learn in public, this is on record. Wow. So I'm watching the video when I watched the video when I imported this. Wow. And by the way, reason I wanted to pause the video is because it took me about 10 hours to change the theme. The skin of Supermemo. Which is not the one I use, but it's better already. Okay, so that was all. So let's continue with the sixth day, or session, I should say. This is short. Okay, so what's happening now? As I see my newbie self, is that look at the position of the question and the answer. They are too far away. So, and I was using this very same device. It's the same screen. The monitor is the same. Even the machine, everything is still the same. This computer is like 12 or 13 years old. Now, my template, remember I have a video on that quite recently, that I have first the images and then the text. So therefore, the question is in the middle of the screen already. And then I have the answer. So I didn't have much of the eye movement to do to analyze question and answer. But here, they are so far away. Oh my god, now I don't know if it's like muscle memory, but now it's like, hey, I'm not used to this movement. My muscles have to work too much. I'm not saying this because I'm lazy, that, I I have to move this muscle or contact this muscle. No, it's because it's not efficient. If I can scan like it's much more efficient for me than looking way a lot farther away. And what happens since I use items with just plain text, I don't have all of that. I don't have the references because for whatever reason are only shown when it's an HTML component, not a text component. You're gonna still check those, but they're not present on your face every single time, which I appreciate, by the way. Oh, that makes sense. So you can tell here that my noob self still doesn't get incrementalism at this stage. Because first I decide, hey, I'm done. I consider the session as done today. And I will wrap up with doing the notes and so on. So I still have these discrete stages of the learning. First this, then the session, wrap up, do this later. Next time I see you, I will start with my notes and so on. Now I don't do this anymore. I don't know how much I do it like this. At least I can guarantee that my fluent self, the smaller head here speaking, didn't do that already. So now what I do is that I will do it within the topic, the element. So I do it super more atomic and incrementally. And that will be when I do the rep. I don't have to stop, hey, I'm done for today, and everything on that time. It's good to know, because I will not have realized that I was doing this. So if I had no video, and I was just recalling from memory, I would have never said this, that I was using Supermemo like this. To wrap up a Supermemo session, what is this? I'm impressed. Okay, something I noticed, a pattern here, that I finished the video super abruptly, so I don't even know when the video is going to finish, because I don't say, hey, see you incrementally, see you later, see you next time, or whatever. It's just, boom, no transition. Then, 7th day. Yeah, so the YouTube video was super buggy, this computer never actually worked, and it worked in my laptop of back in the day. I no longer have that laptop, and now with Supermemo 19, also other bugs and so on. So what I decided is that I went fully local, and I had only local videos for, I don't know, quite a long time. That then I used a secondary storage, so I could use the Git backup solution, because obviously with Git you don't want to sync the videos because the file size is too large. But what I did at the end of the day is I moved on. It doesn't compensate. So now I have the topic with the link, and I watch it in YouTube with my account, so it remembers where I left the last time I see that with the red bar, and that's it. Not optimal, but I mean the friction was too high, so I prefer this than win with friction every single day. Wow, I was using the final drill. Yes, because I could. So I only did like 90 reps. So you run out of, look at the priority retention. At the priority protection, 100%. That meant that I was doing all of the outstanding items. But that's for the topics. So at day 9 of the collection, I didn't finish the topics already. So imagine, just a few days, it's enough. And you will never finish this outstanding. Unless you cheat, for instance, with how to postpone, or auto postpone, that you change the date. So therefore it's the same. You haven't done the repetitions that were scheduled for that day. You just change the date to see the 0, but it's the same. You're not doing it. That means information overflow is unavoidable, inevitable. Yeah, I haven't checked this. The 4D graphs and so on. As a user, that doesn't tell you much or any. So now I have more data. I have almost 3 years and a half, between 3 years and a half and 4 years worth of data. So the plots are more meaningful, but now I do care about a lot less than before because, yeah. What insight do I get here? Templates. Oh my god. Also, what I'm noticing is that yes, I was speaking English, but and even today I mispronounce some words. But templates, not templates. Oh my god! And look at how many. Look at the so weird typos. Different components. Uh, anf instead of and. So those are typos that are super obvious. Now, as I mentioned, I do typos, but not those kind of typos. Not that obvious. Because I was relying so heavily on the auto spell checker. Okay, 8th day. Okay, so here were my conclusions. I can tell that my noob self is wrong. It's not Internet Explorer per se, it's the it's that tool, TLL and MSD, MSHTML.dll. Oh my god, that was a mouthful. And stuff like this. That is, yeah, it's like some kind of stripped version of Internet Explorer. It's even less than that, than Internet Explorer. And look at that. I call it a card, not an item. So I spent like a week, more than a week, but I was still using the Anki terminology. And at that time, I wanted to import my Anki decks, which I did at the end of the day. And then I delete everything. It's not worth the trouble. Because of the better algorithm with the added friction. So I just deleted everything and continued in Anki. Well, same as before. When I did the subset of my highest intervals, sunk cost was also one of them. And I remember the image. Can you guess what I did? I removed this image. It's the sunk cost fallacy. Oh my god. So ironic in Supermemo. Now it no longer applies. So I think that's so ironic. Because now, even if I invested tons of time, screw it. It's not worth my time anymore. Too much friction. So I spend a lot of time making this pretty, or my Anki decks to have a very nice layout and hierarchy in the knowledge tree, and so on. And I spent hours importing this, because that took forever, like 18 hours. An import needed like 8 hours or 12 hours in Supermemo because of the massive amount of media files and so on. That took forever. And after all of that, just get rid of this. Yes. Something I learned with incremental reading is the sunk cost fallacy to overcome that. And now is no big deal. No big deal. Now, I could say this is one of the soft skills that it took me a while. So my fluent self was still a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. Not anymore. That's for the better, by the way. Day 9. Yeah, and this is when I did all of the styling. Such a trouble for no benefit. You should not care. I still here cared as a Nike user about the HTML to have this prettified. Yeah, I want this key binding to be shown as a keyboard. Even though I failed because in Supermemo most of the CSS is not rendered because it's super primitive, the support. I still wanted that. Oh my god. And then I just get rid of all of that. Look at this, inline HTML with CSS. Oh my god. Okay, 20 hours to customize the cosmetics because I only did change the theme and that was it. Like this black, green, and then this gray, light gray. And then I used the gray as inside the component. That took me 20 hours. And now I haven't did any meaningful change in the last 2 years. I actually have a recent video on that I only changed the extracted color and not much in years. Wow, such an inception. So what I said Just a reminder that I'm shooting the videos straight next to each other. I'm not shooting these incrementally. So for me, everything I said in this video, it's recent for me. Oh my god. So what I said a while ago, that it's funny that the sunk cost fallacy into the article I imported about cognitive inertia. It's good to have this on record. Nah. I said that! So my fluent self said that when watching my newbie self. I don't remember seeing that. I don't remember this fact. I edited that video 2 years ago. And that was like gone. Like, hey, I'm saying this because I thought it was new and it was worth mentioning. Now I realize that some videos later, at the number 10, that was being said already. I said this already. And I edited this video saying that. So it has some kind of repetition there. A more conscious repetition that is become passive. Because I'm just listening to myself, not just thinking what to say. Wow, I'm impressed. After forgetting. Something that you learn with Supermemo is the increased awareness of the forgetting process. And you can rely that my noob self is relying so much with the knowledge tree. And I click manually, pam. So instead of using the go to the parent, next sibling, and so on, all of the keybindings, I use the mouse. Well, I never do that anymore. For my genuine usage, I don't have this workflow anymore. Okay, so here was a bag. When you have a window that opens but it's off your screen, that could be the case if you use Git backup solution, and one computer has a higher resolution than the other. Then what's going to happen is that that window is in a position that falls outside. It's there, but your monitor cannot represent that. And there's no way for you to know what to click because it's out of the scope, and there's no easy way to readjust the position with the keyboard. So I realized that that was the issue. And then when I did some tutoring, other people had the same thing, the same issue. So I used an auto hotkey script to detect the window and just reset the position at 00, so in the corner. So then you can rearrange it in the position you want. A small touch, but even my fluent self back then had no idea of this simple detail. That now for me it's a simple detail, because now I know the reason. So nothing more here. Keep in mind the original video was 2 hours and a half. The recap was 7 minutes. And now I don't know, once I edit this, it will be even shorter. So, video 11. I no longer zoom in or zoom out text. The size I use is quite large. So, if I read in the browser, I won't be using that font, that large. Now I use 18 points, not pixels, points, and because I use this font. Depending on the font, it looks smaller than other ones. But you can see that it's a lot larger than the knowledge tree. Wow, yeah, I remember this. I forgot the details that I used this. Up to 7 levels. Oh my god. So the deck hierarchy in Anki was creating the context. More or less what will be the knowledge tree, or no, in this case the ancestors window. So, great reading, that comes from Guru, this article, the learning will be the concept, the article, neural creativity cycle, neural aspects will be the extract, and that's the lazy close. You can see the pink color, I always used pink. Now because the video is compressed, it may look more purple, but it's pink. And the image. So that was my effort to still use Anki at all times. And it was so painful that's why I started using Supermemo, because I cannot manage my collection. I don't keep track of everything I still have pending to finish processing, Ankifying. and reading. Oh my god. I no longer have this. I deleted all of that, by the way. So at this point, at 2 weeks is when I started with English, the Advanced English collection. That later, yeah, I will import it, I will merge it with my collection, I will split it back, and so forth. Oh, that's nice. So here you can see that my intention, I was dismissing this item instead of deleting it. Why should I care about the keep binding to import email if I don't use incremental email at all in Supermemo? Because I wanted to list all of the possible key bindings in Supermemo. Yeah, I also remember that at some point I invested my time to the captions. And had to invest quite a lot of time because my pronunciation was not that good. So the AI was quite wrong very often. But yeah, based on the view can and so on is, yeah, I'm spending way too much time for this. So I no longer do it. This could change in the future. Once I open the scope of this channel, let's say I have, I don't know, some thousand people watch the video and are not native speakers, and the captions could help them. But for now, those videos have been online for 2 years, and they have like 30 views. So I spend, in this case it's 2 minutes, but if it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, this will take several hours to do the captions. That's why I stopped doing the captions. Yeah, experimenting, but at the end of the day, I deleted everything. But it was still a good practice to fully understand how Supermemo works with the imports, exports, the Unicode, especially when you have other languages and stuff like this. And since you don't have multiple cards for one note in Anki, you have to decide the hierarchy, all of that. I will still do it again if I could travel in time. Even if I don't keep anything of that. Other than the learning. Yeah, how naive I was. Yeah, especially useful if there are images. Yeah, not useful. I haven't used this feature since I recorded this video. Not the original one, when I was a newbie, but when I was fluent in Supermemo. Not useful at all. If you could crawl, navigate to this, pam pam, like in Obsidian or some personal knowledge management, yes, not the case. So, yeah, Bitshelter no longer works because of Windows 11. Even though no worries, as long as you use the Git backup solution, that's more than you need to. And please do backup your collection. Don't wait until you mess up with your collection. I never use Dilute, ever can. Yet another feature that I never use. Because with my flow, I don't need it. But at least I know how it works, all of the settings, and all of that. Parameters, criteria. Okay, so now I'm seeing one of the conventions that I had back in the day to have the folders in capital letters, and then within those folders I will have the concepts. I no longer do that. You may have seen the recent video as well about the minimum concept principle that I follow now. Yeah, unnecessary. All of those special templates just for the type, unnecessary, because at the end of the day you just use in the text with your conventions. It's a lot much quicker. You don't waste your time setting different templates. It's not worth it. It's just cosmetic at the end of the day. So everything in those 3 minutes that I shared, hey, this is important, this is the golden nugget, as my fluent Supermemo self is a golden nugget. Now for me, this is not a golden nugget. It is still worth sharing, obviously. Is hey, you can do this, you can do that, but as an expert now is no. be more efficient and just do text in the question side, so you know it's an also known as or true or false question. That's it. Then last recap of my last footage, and I'm seeing that it's getting dark, so my chroma key, it's messy, sorry about that. I was not aware it will take so long. I'm doing this one shot. Yeah, all of the stats are better. 25 items per day, 700 items in the first month, but yet taking into account that I was doing language learning as well. Wow, yeah, the opposite is true. So that was my intention as my fluent self. Hey, let's go extra mile, be extremely systematic, and do, like, for instance, this case, the universal decimal classification. So I have everything. I can guarantee that in case I don't know what I did, I will consult this standard so I know where it goes. Geography, theoretical geography, typological, comparative, normative, applied geography, That is way too much effort, way too much nesting, not required. Because at the end of the day, Supermemo, it's a learning tool. It's not a knowledge management tool or to classify books, text, resources, like in a library. It's just learning, so this doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. And there's no one single solution. Depends on what you do and how important it is. So for me, relation, here I did the first level, according to this standard. But for me, relation, that will be the entire thing. I don't need to specify, because I think even today, I only have like 50 elements about relation, and that's it. And science and knowledge is huge. I have a lot of stuff there. And I will just use my own criteria. That what deserves a concept is large enough, high priority enough, and that's it. So I abandoned that idea completely. Now I see that I also use that web import as a node. Node, not note, but node with D, N-O-D-E. And this is that's a complete mess. So I suggest to always import using a hook concept, hook. So you can use that to do, or in my case I call it import, because then it will become a complete mess. Yes, you can import several articles in the same time, but just by date that doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, so here finishes. So overall, yeah, I met my expectations that my newbie self was clueless. I will do things very differently now, as expected. I was kind of surprised at my fluent self. There are less differences, but there are some key differences that are stronger than may seem. And I completely disagree today, as mentioned sometime in this video. So those are the pros of learning in public. So I was able to retrieve those videos. Hope this video has been useful as a recap. Learn from my own mistakes. Newbie mistakes, that was the original playlist. Learn from my newbie mistakes. So now I can say, learn from my fluent mistakes. Or journeyman, more than just newbie. But still not a master. So it's almost night now. It hasn't been incremental, that was worth it. And see you incrementally.